esta tarde está conmigo aquí en el estudio Amy Gath. Ella es vicepresidenta de Formica, Norteamérica. Amy, how are you? Thank you very much for being here.
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Please talk to us a little bit about Formica, what is. We have talked in the past, but just for the people to understand this company.
You bet. So Formica is a global leader in the design and manufacture of surfacing material. And I think we're probably best known for inventing high-pressure laminate back in 1913. And we've been doing business here in Mexico for almost half a century.
Le pregunto que nos cuente un poco qué es Formica o Formica, como se dice en español. Bueno, se dice Formica también. Y me dice que es una compañía pues, que tiene mucho tiempo, muy conocida por haber patentado, inventado lo que hoy es más, pues lo decimos casi intercambiable, el material, pero que es de la compañía Formica, que es este pues, plástico laminado, totalmente compactado y que tienen operaciones en México desde hace 50 años. How has been the evolution of a company that has this invention, this patent, and since then, I guess it defined like the 60s, for example, in terms of the office spaces, but how has been the evolution of Formica in terms of the transformation of the workspace and the houses and everything?
Absolutely. So Formica has been part of spaces, be it commercial in an office or be it in a home, for those 100 years, and I think we've really based what we do on innovating based on what people need. And so we do a lot of work to talk to homeowners, to talk to business owners about what do you need with your surfaces, and then coming up with surfaces that are really inspired by and meet the needs of life.
Le pregunto que cuál ha sido la evolución. Me dice que en los últimos 100 años pues han estado siempre en contacto con pues las personas en los hogares, por supuesto los negocios, hablando de las superficies y de lo que necesitan. Will you say that the 60s it was the time when it was more typical, the Formica in terms of the public, the desk and everything?
Absolutely. It was certainly a heyday for Formica. Formica was everywhere you looked, and the advertising was everywhere. I think what people don't know is while we might not be advertising as much as we used to, Formica is still everywhere. You find it in hotels, in restaurants, in homes, in offices, in schools. We've just not talked about it as much.
Le pregunto que si era en los 60s, pues cuando todos tenemos muy claro la Formica, que todavía está en muchas partes, y me dice que sí fue la época, no diría de oro porque sigue siendo, y de hecho me dice Amy, que pues ya quizás no lo dan a conocer de manera tan amplia, pero tienen muchos materiales que todos utilizamos. What will be the materials that you develop and that are in the everyday life of many people and maybe they don't know it?
Absolutely. So Formica is used for a ton of furniture. And people might know that their living room table or their kitchen table is actually made out of laminate, out of Formica. Cabinets are another one that have a ton of laminate uses. Wall panels, elevator panels, your office or your school desk, even the restroom partitions are often made of laminate.
Pues le pregunto que cuáles son estos materiales y dónde se encuentran, y me dice pues prácticamente hay laminados por todos lados, en muebles, en closets, en los elevadores, en las oficinas, en la cocina, prácticamente sigue estando en todos lados. Now, how has been changed in terms of the necessities or the new realities of these materials in terms of what are the new characteristics or what is the market demanding from you?
The market is always demanding materials that are more and more durable. They've got to stand up to the rigors of everyday life, whether you're using your table for a family meal or to do homework or to do crafts. It's got to be durable. But people are also saying it's got to be flexible enough so I can make whatever I want beautiful with it.
Le pregunto que qué es lo que está demandando hoy el mercado con respecto a estos materiales y me dice que sobre todo durabilidad, que se pueden hacer muchas actividades, por ejemplo en una mesa, pero también el hecho de que sean flexibles. Now, how, in terms of the landscape, because I guess in the 60s and before you were the owner of the market, and right now we have manufacturing capacity very big, for example in China. How has been in terms of the competitive landscape for Formica, and what are the main highlight points in terms of differentiating from other competitors?
Absolutely. So more and more players have certainly come into the market, into the laminate market, be it from Asia, be it from India. And so for us, that means we have to make sure we're providing a best-in-class laminate product. But we also have seen competition from things like solid surfacing or granite and stone. And so for us, it means we've got to create products that are as beautiful as those stone products, but also incredibly durable and incredibly able to stand up to what people need, and better than anything else you can get.
Le pregunto que cómo se ha transformado en términos de la competencia, porque hay, por supuesto, grandes capacidades, por ejemplo, en China, y me dice que sí, que pues, hay nuevos materiales, por ejemplo, el granito, piedra, etcétera, y ellos pues están compitiendo en ese frente, dando, digamos, características similares. Now, where are the operations? Do you have plants around the world, or you have one?
We do. We have plants around the world. In North America, our primary plants are in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have a plant outside of Montreal, Canada, and then we have big operations here in Mexico City, and then in Cincinnati and in Montreal as well.
Le pregunto que qué hay con respecto a las plantas de manufactura que tienen. Me dice que tienen en Cincinnati, también en Montreal, y operaciones importantes no solo en Estados Unidos, pero también aquí en México. Y algo interesante siempre de hablar con ejecutivos globales que vienen a nuestro país, pues es preguntarles cómo ven a México, qué es lo que observan del mercado, porque a veces nosotros pues somos muy críticos, nos cuesta trabajo ver con perspectiva y siempre resulta interesante. So Amy, how do you see Mexico? What is the importance of this market for a company as Formica, which is global, which is big? You were telling me about not just the plants that you have in North America, which is Montreal and Cincinnati, but also in India and some other parts of the world. So what Mexico means for Formica, thinking also that you have been half a century working here?
Mexico is an incredibly important piece of our business, and we see it as an incredibly important piece of our business because we continue to see really fantastic growth coming out of this market, and we also see great opportunity for innovation. I think we see from our team here, from the architects and designers here, lots of innovation that can be leading across the globe. And so for us, it's important to continue to be here and to build on that growth, and we're committed to learning from and leveraging the innovation that we see happening in the market here.
Y le pregunto que qué significa México para Formica, una empresa que tiene 50 años operando aquí. Me dice que es un mercado, una clave muy importante para Formica, un mercado relevante, y sobre todo también interesante ver lo que están haciendo arquitectos, lo que están haciendo diseñadores, y apalancar este diseño y esta innovación que se genera en México, que incluso puede liderar en otras partes del mundo. In this, what have you saw in terms of design of the Mexican architects and designers, in terms of the innovation they are doing with your materials, and in terms of innovation in general of materials?
Absolutely. I think what's been really exciting, and I go back to, we participated in Design Week Mexico back in the fall, and some of the things that we saw the design team do with our material, really kind of pushing the boundaries of how to use it, using walls and ceilings and creating incredibly beautiful things, was a great challenge to our design teams across the world. That how are we pushing people to use our materials differently?
Le pregunto qué es lo que ha visto de los diseñadores mexicanos, y me dice que participaron en el otoño en la Semana del Diseño, y que ahí vieron cómo los diseñadores mexicanos pues empujaban las fronteras con respecto a sus materiales para utilizarlos en paredes, en techos, etcétera, y que eso se convierte también en un reto para los diseñadores de todo el mundo, justo para empujar estas fronteras y llevar estos materiales. Now, what is the main channel, for example, in terms of, is it household, business, for Mexico? What is the main?
It's really a split. We use many distributor partners who sell through their businesses, but it's split almost 50-50 between commercial and residential.
Le pregunto que cuáles son los canales que tienen de llegar a los consumidores, y me dice que bueno, pues son 50-50, trabajan a través de distribuidores, por supuesto, y pues son tanto para casas, digamos, residencial, o para negocios, pues se dividen 50-50. Now, in terms of the financial figures, what are what are the sales, the annual sales of Formica, to have an idea of the size of the company?
So our business unit, we are the international group of Fletcher Building, which is an Australian, New Zealand based company. Our business unit is about 2 billion New Zealand dollars, and the Mexico business is about 10% of the North American portion.
What will be the exchange rate of the New Zealand dollar? I don't know, but
1.41 to the US dollar.
Okay. Le pregunto que para darnos una idea de cuál es el tamaño de Formica, forman parte de un grupo de construcción, bueno, grande, australiano, y son 2,000 millones de dólares de Nueva Zelanda, which the exchange rate would be
1.41.
Es 1.4 por dólar, es decir, pues estaríamos hablando de unos 1.200 millones de dólares más o menos, y de eso México representa más o menos el 10% como mercado. The United States, I guess, will be like 40% or something.
Thereabouts.
Y bueno, pues Estados Unidos, para darnos una idea de lo que significa México, un 40%. Amy, thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you and to see your perspective, not just in terms of the Mexican market, but also the design of the Mexican architects and designers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Te invitamos a seguir cuestionando la información con los siguientes videos.